Welcome to the Two Fun Guys podcast. I'm your host, Brent Ruska.
And I'm your co-pilot, Tony Haddad.
And we just had the most amazing episode. Alex Wolfe, founder of Eons, a mushroom company. And, funny backstory is this name, Two Fun Guys, came from us living together in Seattle, wanting to create a mushroom microdose company. So he's local in Austin. He brought us a bunch of cool supplements, and we dive deep on this episode. It's a two-parter. So this one you're about to listen to is part one, and we'll release part two later down the road. But we go from everything from semen retention to the future of psychedelics, how to microdose, the ultimate morning protocol. What were some of your favorites?
All of those.
Perfect. All right, guys, jump into this episode. And as a thank you, if you enjoy this, our fellow spores, please leave an honest review of what you like and don't like, and we appreciate it. Alex Wolfe, welcome to the podcast, founder of Eons. How would you describe Eons? Functional mushrooms?
Yeah, thanks. It's good to be with you guys. Eons is designed to be a functional mushroom meets biotech brand that introduces mushrooms into the world in fun and innovative ways to help modern day problems like sleep, anxiety, gut health, hydration, productivity, and beyond, to pave the way for psychedelics, microdosing with protocols. That's the idea, is to build safety and trust around the brand, helping as many people as we can, making an impact on humanity so that one day they, if they have the courage to go deeper and try a microdose and expand their mind a little bit, that, we'll be there to guide them.
So this is like phase one of Eons.
Yes, this is the on-ramp to the bridge. I see psychedelics as a bridge to wellness, and Eons at this stage is really the on-ramp to that bridge.
Cool. I love that. And so when you started Eons, you've obviously had your journey with psychedelics.
Yes.
As you're the third fun guy. You're the official third fun guy.
I love it.
So welcome.
I'm honored
to the pod.
Thank you.
Our listeners, they're called the spores.
I love it.
So we're here. We welcome. You get to spread your knowledge to all the spores. And so I'm curious how you came up with the name Eons, because that's a very interesting name for any business, but specifically a mushroom brand.
Well, I was on mushrooms, so that always helps,
I guess.
Yeah. I just moved back from LA to Canada, and I was hanging out with my best friend, business partner Jeff, and we were diving deep into the mushrooms, into psilocybin, and we'd already talked about our next venture being a mushroom venture. We'd both had cannabis backgrounds and both taken companies public in the cannabis space, and had a really fun and learned a lot of lessons in that space as well. So, but we were interested in mushrooms. We had just watched Fantastic Fungi, and we were super inspired. So we started diving into mushrooms and having our own little ceremonial journeys. And it was on one of these journeys that I was trying to come up with names for the brand, and I was like, it just popped in. Mushrooms have been around for eons, and it's a powerful word. It's the longest period of time that there is. There's decades, there's centuries, there's millennias, there's eras, there's epochs, and then there's eons.
What is a measurement? Like, what is the eon measurement?
It's really
is it arbitrary?
It's arbitrary. It's really the longest period of time. It represents, probably hundreds of millions of years. And, I believe now we're in the eons of eons. We're entering a phase of infinite possibilities, and it felt like a instant fuck yes for the name of the brand. And we went out and we got the .com, and, we created this brand around it.
Cool. And so you brought us, so graciously, some Eons packages. You want to open them up?
Yeah, let's
see what we got.
Sure, cool.
Yeah, dude, we'd love to see what.
Open them up.
You go
Check
first,
out.
Brent. Let's see what we got here.
Beautiful boxes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I love good packaging.
All right. So in here, we have Smart Mushroom Coffee, Calm and Focus and Sleep.
Can you tell us a little bit about each of these?
Yeah, of course. These are the 3 OG products. So like I said, we want to come out with things that were fun and innovative. A lot of times mushroom products don't necessarily taste that good, so we want to get past that.
Earthy.
Yeah, it's very earthy and
An acquired taste.
it's an acquired, exactly. An acquired taste for sure. So we wanted to change that. We wanted to make all their products have to taste good. That's part of it. We want to appeal to the masses. We want to get people that have never tried mushrooms before to try them and introduce these, brilliant little beings into their bodies. So we wanted to come up with fun and innovative ways to do that. So these are the 3 OG products. First one was the Smart Mushroom Coffee. It's a smarter way to drink coffee. There's premium Colombian espresso in there. It's triple tested for mold.
Nice. That's huge.
Right?
Huge.
Yeah. Because that's a lot of the problems that people associate with coffee.
Yeah.
They think, oh, it gives me jitters or anxiety. And it used to do the same for me as well. And that's why I was like, man, I can't have more than 2 cups a day or I'm freaking out. And I realized that was because there's mold in the coffee. So, yeah.
And I can't tell you how many people I've told that to. And they like, just don't believe me.
Yeah.
No, it's just the coffee. I got to switch to tea. I'm like, you could. Like, that's a healthy transition, but it's the mold. Just find mold-free coffee. And people just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know, for some reason, I think the mold is kind of like a cordyceps where it takes over your brain.
Right.
And then it makes you not believe that that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's my conspiracy.
Cognitive dissonance by the mold. Yeah.
And you feel sick until you drink it again.
Yeah.
But then you feel more sick, but you're like in this endless loop.
You're in this loop.
It's this addiction to the mold.
It's addiction, and it's a toxicity there. So I think it's like the mold is trying to feed off itself or something. I don't know.
And throws your gut off big time.
Throws your gut off big time, and it's old technology. It's boomer technology. Like I'm past the old style of coffee.
Folgers? You don't take Folgers?
Not anymore. I'm past it.
Yeah.
So
You're not a Nescafe type of guy?
Not anymore, Tony. So that's why we created this. It's a smarter way to drink coffee. We loaded it up with adaptogens and nootropics and vitamins and minerals. There's 15 different nutraceuticals in there. It's a stacked formula. So if you don't want to take all these different supplements in a day, you could literally just have a cup of coffee. Keeps you focused and alert and tapped in all day.
Is it a powder?
It's a powder. Yeah. It's a Colombian espresso, but we designed it to be very easily dissolvable into water. So either hot water or cold water mixes up right up. And that was our best seller for a long time. But the Eons Smart Mushroom Sleep Gummies were the ones that surpassed that. Sleep was a problem that I really wanted to solve. I was a pilot for many years, and I was always looking for something that would help me with my sleep. I was working late hours, long flights, all this kind of stuff. So I started over the years accumulating different sleep supplements to try to help me get some good rest, because there's nothing worse than showing up in the morning not rested, and you have a whole airplane full of people that are looking at you and making sure that you want to get them there safely. So I realized pretty early on in my career, sleep was a major code. So I started finding these supplements, and I basically put them all together in this formula, through reishi mushroom in there as well. That really helps with REM sleep. And that's our best seller, is the Smart Mushroom Sleep Gummies.
So it's a mix of which mushrooms have you put in there?
Reishi mushroom is the predominant mushroom, and there is some melatonin in there, which I know there's mixed reviews on melatonin, but the more that we dive into it, the more I believe more and more in melatonin, that it is a miracle molecule. It helps on so many things, and I encourage people to research it deeper, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about melatonin. There's valerian root, there's passion flower, there's lavender, there's a bunch of magnesium. It's a really good formula, and it tastes like blueberries. It's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. The fact that you can get valerian to taste like blueberries.
Yeah.
That is a disgusting herb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you constantly take it? Like, it doesn't need to be cycled? Because I know sometimes night stuff, you need to go off it for a while just to keep the potency.
Yeah, totally. I recommend that. I don't recommend taking supplements, 7 days a week, but I'm at the stage, like, if I need to sleep well, I'd rather just take a supplement than not sleep well. But that's just my own personal belief, but I think everybody's different.
Do you have any other lines of mushroom coming out that you're allowed to talk about?
I do. I have a couple. I have another one actually that I brought as a bit of a surprise.
Heck yeah.
It's full of surprises. Pulling mushrooms out of his pockets.
This is the one I'm the most proud about. And that's a gift for you guys as well.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Man.
This is the Eons Deeper Sleep.
Oh.
And this is taking the sleep supplement game to another level. We acquired 14 patents on bioavailability delivery technology. So what that means in simplest terms is our ability to deliver molecules to the human body. And that's what this technology does. It's a desiccated liposomal technology, and liposomals have been around for a long time, I'm sure you're aware, but not in this format. This basically keeps molecules wet, even though it's in a dry tablet. So this is a tablet that you put in your mouth. It melts in your mouth in about 30 seconds, and it starts to send the active ingredients through your bloodstream in minutes. So, and it's a stacked formula again, and this will get you to sleep in minutes and restorative sleep quicker than any other product out there. And this was really inspired us because we really wanted to solve the problem of sleep. So we knew bioavailability is a big factor in that. So that's why we went out and got this technology.
Why does keeping the molecule wet make it more bioavailable?
Because it actually transports it through your mucosal system. There's like these little holes sublingually, and by keeping it wet, it travels right into your mucosal, into the bloodstream. It gets deeper than that, and I don't know the science that well enough. My grade 10 science background is going to butcher it right now, but I know it works. And these patents are granted. They've been tested and proven. And I'm a big believer in delivery technology. It's not just putting the molecules in your body, but how we deliver them is what makes it so effective.
Yeah, that's the problem with the supplement company 20 years ago. 98% of it would just turn into waste.
Right.
And so I remember as a kid, I'd be super into supplements, and I remember taking so many different kinds, and I thought, I'm thinking back now, it's like, I was probably just overloading my liver.
Totally.
And there were nothing in it, and they tasted nasty. And yeah, it's amazing how far the supplement companies come. And then with AI and everything advancing so fast, where it's going to go.
Oh yeah.
We're going to have an explode, like, everyone, I think, is going to have very dialed in supplement regimes, right? Who's that guy who's trying
Brian
to
Johnson?
Yeah. The guy's trying to live forever.
Yeah.
It's like, I think he takes like 90 pills or something insane.
Yeah.
And then even the Singularity guy, what's his name?
Ray Kurzweil.
He was on Rogan, and he was talking about he takes 80 pills. So it's like,
wow.
Supplements, it's going to be, everyone's going to have their own closet full of supplements.
Yeah.
So this is one of the products, new one's coming out.
This one's already out, but
Okay.
This was the one we've been working on for a couple of years. So I'm really excited to have it out there on the market and really start to change the game around supplements. And I believe delivery systems is the way to do that. Because like you said, otherwise, these supplements are going through our GI tract, and we're losing a lot of them through our liver when they process them. So we end up losing a lot of the active ingredient that we're paying for. And as a consumer, nobody wants to waste money. We want to get the most out of it. So I'm really excited about this delivery technology.
It'd be kind of cool to do some like Aura Ring or Whoop studies.
We're doing it. We're doing it
Yeah?
right now on 100 people. The results are amazing. I'm going to be sharing them publicly very soon. But
Cool.
all the restorative sleep, like, dramatic increase.
We'll make it 102 because Brent and I will definitely wear our
Let's
Oura
get you
rings,
in.
and we'll
Yeah.
try.
I'm always trying to optimize the shit out of my sleep.
I love it.
Yeah.
And we could get you guys in the next study that we're doing as well, which is, you mentioned any other products that I'm working on. The one I'm working on a bunch, but the one I'm the most excited about is a legal psychedelic microdose coming out with a protocol, an extensive protocol, and it helps amazing for anxiety and depression and addiction and PTSD. So like some heavy stuff. And to be able to bring a legal psychedelic microdose product to market using this delivery technology, I think is going to be a game changer.
Can you talk about that for a second? How is it legal microdose? I know there's some gray areas, but I'm really curious about how that works, especially having a mushroom company.
Right. So most people, when they think psychedelic mushroom, they're really associating it with psilocybin. Psilocybin is the most common.
So it's you're microdosing non-psilocybin mushroom.
Correct. So there's, as you guys know, there's thousands of species of mushrooms, if not millions. And out of those tons of species, there's hundreds of them that are psychedelic. And not all of them are psilocybin based in psychedelia. So we've found a mushroom that's been around for thousands and thousands of years, studied heavily in Russia. And we're using those studies to, further our development at Eons and come out with a product that can really, really help people. And we're past the prototype stage. Our lawyers have given us the green light in 49 states, and we'll be launching in about 5 or 6 weeks.
What mushroom is it? Can you say?
I could say now because we're pretty close to this coming out, and there's no going back now. But it's the Amanita muscaria.
Oh, awesome.
Yes. So obviously a lot of history around this mushroom. It's been around for a long, long time. It's been subliminally put into our subconscious through media and video games like Super Mario Brothers and even Christmas and Santa Claus and all that stuff. So it's been there for a long time. It's the emoji. So to see it, it's amazing.
It's the emoji in our podcast.
Amazing.
On Spotify, it says Two Fun Guys Podcast, Amanita mushroom.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So people are microdosing muscimol. instead of
Exactly.
psilocybin.
Yes.
I'm actually really curious about muscle because I don't know enough about it. I know that the psychedelic experience, if you were to take a real dose, a full dose, is more dreamlike
Yes.
as opposed to psilocybin.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm curious from your perspective, kind of what is it being served for in the microdose and in your experience?
We almost tried it this
Muscaria.
weekend and went to Dune 2.
Oh, that would be cool.
That's true.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. But yeah, we've never taken it. So yeah, we're curious.
Yeah. I'm
Allegedly, Brent. We've allegedly almost tried it this weekend.
Yeah. Well, it's legal, so you wouldn't. It wouldn't
Never
even-
mind.
Yeah.
We definitely did.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked. What it's really doing differently than psilocybin is it's working on your subconscious mind.
Oh, okay.
So it's going in there and it's going to help unwind belief patterns or limiting beliefs about yourself, which is pretty powerful. You know, our beliefs can impact our lives so much, and it's going to go in there and it's going to start to unwind things so that you can pretty much hit like the reset button on your belief systems, which is pretty powerful.
Wow.
And that can open up, to a lot of new perspectives. And with the new perspective, you're starting to look at life in a different way. And then you make new decisions. And then those decisions can create a new destiny for yourself. So it's on a pretty deep level that it's working.
Mm-hmm.
However, what the user experience will be like is really, like I said, like hitting the reset button on your stress and your anxiety, which I believe is tremendously valuable. There's so much anxiety in the world today, especially here in North America. And I'd love to be able to solve the problem of anxiety. For me, that's something like I get super excited about, solving problems. And I used to have anxiety, so I know how much people suffer with it. I've been there and I've gotten on the other side of it. And, this mushroom was a big part of it. So yeah, it's really going to press reset on people's anxiety, and it just really calms you the fuck down, which is great. I think being calm is a kind of a superpower in today's world. So yeah, it's very calming, and it can also help with people with addiction and depression and stuff like that, because it's going to start to go in there and, help you change your beliefs.
Like stopping the thought loops.
Exactly.
What do you experience at, say you took 5 of the microdoses instead of 1 serving? What could you experience?
Yeah, so we've designed it so that it's a very low microdose. We're playing on the side of responsibility. I'm not here to try to give anyone a, wild psychedelic trip of any kind. They'd probably have to take a whole bottle.
Well, I'm out then.
Yeah. Yeah. People can go and do psychedelic journeys on their own time. That's, if you're up for it, I encourage it. But that's not something that I'm trying to do here with this product. I'm trying to be very responsible. I'm trying to help mental health issues. And so, yeah, we want to be responsible. So if people went and maybe took a whole bottle, they may have some crazy dreams. They may feel like they're in like a dream type state. But they, like I said, they'd have to take like a whole bottle.
Can you talk about the things you've put in there to, enhance it? Or is it that mushroom by itself?
It's mainly that mushroom. I've put a couple other things in there as, proprietary blend that I won't be able to share right now.
For sure.
But stuff that's been very used in Eastern medicine, very Eastern inspired stuff that's been around for thousands of years as well, that we think pairs with this mushroom incredibly well. And the people that we've been studying it on internally at Eons are loving it. And we're all really, really, really excited to get this product out there.
Yeah, and this is one of many more products down the road. It sounds like you have a really long-term vision. And, it seems like also you've maybe seen into the future of what you think's coming. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, I can. For me, I'm really inspired by alternative medicines. I believe nature has the answers. So I'm trying to just tap into nature's technology and bring that out into products that are safe and effective, but to really give people a new mindset, without the toxicity of some of the pharmaceuticals. And I get it. Pharmaceuticals have their place and they help a lot of people, but they also can mess people up, So I'm trying to get more back to nature, and I believe in plant medicines. I've, dove into them pretty extensively, and I believe microdosing them with proper protocols is the way to really make an impact on mental health. So that's what we're going to do, starting with this legal psychedelic microdose using Amanita muscaria. And then we've also developed a legal version of LSD. A lot of people may not be aware that LSD derives from fungi as well. So it's not just a synthetic.
It's not Adderall.
It's not Adderall, exactly. Thanks, Brent. It's also from mushrooms.
Yeah.
So we're working on a legal version of LSD as well. If that'll be launched this year or not is TBD. But I've been microdosing it, and it's phenomenal for physical activity, like my workouts and my cardio and my endurance is like
pre-workout LSD. Yeah. That's fucking go.
What money is.
Right.
Also really incredible for cluster headaches.
Right.
Yeah. My brother-in-law has terrible cluster headaches, and I remember asking me, and he was kind of nervous about it, like, where can I get LSD? And there was some kind of non-psychedelic LSD. There was a name for it. I don't remember what it was, but it was like impossible to find. So people who have real issues trying to find real medicine, because the only other therapy for him was like wear oxygen tank all night long.
Oh my gosh.
And it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And like he can't even get a medicine that's supposed to help him. And everybody on these forums, in like cluster headache forums, was like, use this specific type of LSD that like you take one dose of this, and for the next like 6 months you have no cluster headaches.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and that's amazing that you're working on that to build that.
Absolutely. It's very exciting for us. I like I said, I was a pilot for a long time, and in my aviation career, I was always looking for something to give me the edge, just to like be in top performance. And I want to share those type of tips and tricks and codes with the world. I'm not here to hoard the codes. I'm here to share them so we can all rise together.
Right.
I believe it's important for where we're going in the world to all, do this collectively. And I believe these alternative medicines can play a significant role in that if they're done responsibly. Everything we're doing at Eons is, with responsibility and with the protocols in mind. I've sourced some of the leading experts on protocols, which is a big component of this business. And the legal LSD one is something I'm really, really excited about. I think Silicon Valley is frothing at the idea. They're very, forward thinking. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what happens.
So when creating a legal LSD, I'm curious of the science behind that. Is it as simple as changing like a couple molecules so that the molecular structure is different? Now it's not legal. It's not illegal anymore, or is there more that goes into it?
That's a big component of it.
Okay.
And, working with lawyers to make sure that all our, T's are crossed and I's are dotted and that kind of thing. But yes, there has to be a different molecular structure to what is scheduled as illegal. So that's the first part of it. And then sourcing these rare species of fungi that contain, this molecule. And then studying it with research companies, doctors, and these kind of things, usually privatized, that will help bring the data forward to give legitimacy and credibility. And that's what we're doing. We partnered up with Mann & Research in Toronto. They're, world-renowned research facility. We also have a doctor that works out of the Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, very advanced neuroscientist. So he's going to be studying the brain mapping on how these legal psychedelics affect the brain, and then use this data to help us, forward the legitimacy and the legalization of them eventually. Well, legalization of original LSD and psilocybin as well.
So one thing I'm curious about is my brain couldn't help but go this direction. When you're creating these different molecular structures, you probably have, trial 1, trial 2, trial 3. You have all these different versions, I would assume, until you find the right one. And when you have one that you think might work, do you do your own personal test?
Of course.
All right. And so what are those experiences like, and how many have you tried?
Oh man, a lot. So that was something that, it just comes with the territory as being an entrepreneur and a psychonaut.
Test your products.
Got to test the products, man. Anything I bring to the market, I have to test myself. I like to try them fasted, so I'll fast for an extended period of time and really get to know the medicine on a deep personal level. Because anything I bring to the market, I have to like fully stand behind and know that, okay, if people take this, or if people take a lot of this, if they go on the irresponsible side and they decide to overdose on that, are they going to be okay? So I've been the guinea pig for a lot of these things. And I've had some, less than enjoyable experiences for sure, which reminds me of the power of these sacred medicines. Like they're not a joke, it's not something to be taken lightly. So we're really going on the ultra microdose side of things, Tony. Like I made a decision because I went so far into psychedelics, and we touched on this a little bit earlier. I scared the shit out of myself, like I took it way too far, and I realized, man, this is not something that I want to bring to market, because I was going on that direction of doing like chocolate bars and gummy bears and
easily consumable
and just full send. And, they taught me that, no, that's not the way. And if I'm going to do things, it's going to be very responsibly with the microdose, with protocols. So that was a really challenging experience, but I'm also grateful for the lessons that it gave me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed when you start to get a little too cocky with the medicine, it will find a way to humble you very quickly.
Exactly.
And show you the true path.
100%. 100%. They're innate in wisdom, so we're like little babies compared to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, eons they've been around. So
exactly.
we're little babies.
Yes.
So when you tried these different medicines and these different variations, what did you notice in terms of difference from like normal, or what we would consider regular scheduled LSD?
Not much of a difference, to be honest. Yeah. So it's like, it's almost not noticeable. They're very, very similar, which is exciting because, LSD is awesome. If anybody's experienced it.
That's the tagline of the podcast.
Yeah.
LSD is awesome.
I love LSD. It's probably my favorite psychedelic of all time.
Mm-hmm. Why is that though?
Man, a
lot of people are scared of LSD.
For sure.
And I was, but I'm doing it more because of this guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know about your opinion, but mine is LSD is like unlocking your brain for more of the world we're living in, to figure out, I don't know, things that are 5, 10, 20 years ahead of time, where mushrooms is more like getting reacquainted with nature and that rhythm. Like, how would you?
I think that was very well said. I think mushrooms connects you to the now and is very grounding. It brings you back into their mycelial intelligence, which is and then there's a lot more work involved, I find, with psilocybin. Like, it's going to show you the things that you need to work on, and which is great. It's awesome. And I microdose. I'm on a protocol right now, 5 days a week, 2 days off, and it's very helpful. It's very healing in working through my stuff. LSD for me is more like you said, Brent. It's like more of a exploration. It's more of, it's a little more recreational, which you got to be careful with.
Sure.
But it can be pretty freaking fun and awesome and sensorily like exhilarating, like all your senses are heightened and all these things, music and movement and all this stuff. And I agree. I think it just unlocks another part of your brain that shows you possibilities that you never would have thought of prior, most likely. And for me, that's really exciting. It's all about pushing past limiting beliefs.
Yeah. Like Steve Jobs would use LSD.
Yeah.
And, we have a couple different businesses, and we've reached a couple current roadblocks, and we're about to go to Eclipse Festival. And I've always been a firm believer, like, when you can't figure out what the next steps are, and when you're in your daily life, things get rigid.
Mm-hmm.
You can still do yoga and cold plunge and whatnot, but sometimes you need that like really expansive
pattern interrupt.
Yeah. You need to let that mind really open, and then all these new connections and thoughts, especially with LSD when it comes to, I feel like, business, creating systems, things like that. Do you use LSD for entrepreneurship at all?
I do. And I did extensively a few years ago, like where I was, overusing LSD, but I got some of my best ideas there, and I was really pushing past the limits until I took it too far, and then I got humbled, and then, okay, let's reset. So now I just use it sparingly and very responsibly, but I do use it for creativity. I do use it for entrepreneurial type stuff and visions, and then bringing those visions back to the world, communicating them, and, eventually manifesting them into reality. I think there's a lot that we could do with that. And even on the physical level too. Like I remember on microdosing LSD and being able to skip rope for like a crazy amount of time, like 90 minutes straight, and I'm just going hard, where usually I'd skip rope for 10, 15 minutes and I'm tired. So I totally believe that they unlock parts of your brain that are self-limiting. And I think that's really like one of the secrets to life, is like we just put our own limits on ourselves. So it's like anything that could take off the governor is super cool.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing with it, because LSD is my medicine of choice as well. And
nice.
It's sparing now.
Yeah.
But before, when I was like 22, 23, it was a lot. Yeah. Right. And I'm so grateful for that experience, even if I'm maybe a little perma-fried now. But I mean, you're spot on with your explanation of how it works. And I feel like it just taps you into that flow state.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get in a flow state. And I have so many experiences in my life thinking back to where like I was stuck on something or something was difficult. And for some reason, it gives you this ability to just not give up. It's like, I will keep trying. And then things just become simpler. Even something so easy as like flow, like a flow toy or something, you just pick it up immediately. And I've always had this concept in my mind that, the way you described mushrooms versus LSD was really profound. And I've seen it kind of laterally to that, where mushrooms has always given me a lot of questions. And my most profound healing experiences have been on mushrooms, because it really just punches you in the face and shows you like what you need to work on.
Yeah.
Medicine really does not hold back. And with LSD, it's easier to be more like recreational and fun, but it always gave me the answers to the questions that mushrooms gave me.
That's awesome.
So mushrooms is like, here's the question that you got to ask yourself. And then you followed up with some LSD, and LSD is like, let me show you the path to answering that for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I think they go hand in hand so perfectly.
I do. I think, and I've experimented with them both, in simultaneously, and they complement each other.
Would you ever make a product that contained both?
I don't know. I'd have to really dive deep into the why I would want to do that, and have to know it like inside and out. But it's possible. Like eventually, I think later on this year, we'll have both products out there. Maybe not psilocybin, but the Amanita, and I think it's to be discovered.
It sounds like you're growing your business with each product extremely intentionally.
Yes.
And just as things change in the market and legalities, you're just slowly inching and making sure everyone is safe. Do you have like a protocol people can follow on these products, right? Or recommendations? Because I know people may look to mushrooms and like, oh, this is going to fix me. But if you don't have a bunch of foundational tools, especially as you start to get into like that LSD product or whatnot, it's like, it's not going to fix your life. It's a tool to start implementing all these other foundational things.
Yeah, well said. And I'm so glad you brought that up. It's a big part of our core team at Eons. Like we're all about responsibility. Like we feel like we have a responsibility because we know this stuff. We've done the work, and we've done, a lot of these journeys to know that they're very powerful, and they're not for everybody. And if done the wrong way, it could do a lot of damage, and it could do a lot of damage to the whole movement of psychedelics. So we want to be very responsible, and that's where the protocols come in. And, my business partner, Ryan, is an expert on protocols. He's been studying this stuff for years, and he's come up with a masterpiece protocol for these medicines called the Legend of Eons. And it's a gamified protocol. So it's like
cool.
As you go deeper into the protocol and you answer more and more questions, you unlock new pathways, and you start to learn more and more about yourself. And it's all done gamification, inspired by, the Legend of Zelda type stuff.
That's awesome, dude.
It's super cool. So it just makes it more fun. It's like a choose your own adventure type of protocol, but it's going to lead you into a world of self-discovery, which is, we believe, very valuable. Like the more that you know yourself and know why are you actually going into this realm. Is it for, to help one of your problems or your issues like anxiety or depression or addiction? Or is it to, heal some trauma? Or is it to optimize your life? You want to, peak performance? It's going to bring you down all these different lanes depending on what you're really called for.
That's amazing because like in the cannabis market, you don't even see any of that.
Right.
You just see 5 milligrams this, 2 milligrams this, go have fun. It's almost like the alcohol industry a little bit.
Yeah.
Where this is like you could be a dude at home, 20, addicted to video games. You're out of shape and you're like, cool, I can buy this product. I can start to have an actual plan that's fun and interesting, and I can start to change my life.
Yeah. We think it's always better to have some sort of plan when going into these things and have a map at least, of where you're going. Like as a, I was a pilot. I keep saying that, but it was a lot easier to
Wait, you were a pilot?
Yeah. It was a lot easier to get to your destination when you had a flight plan, and have your charts and your weather and all this kind of stuff mapped out, as opposed to just jumping in the airplane and going, right? So we want to give people the same sort of mapping when they're going on these journeys, even if it's a microdose. It's just because it's going to start to help unlock themselves and unlock belief patterns, and we want to be there to help guide them, and not just like, yeah, here's a bag of mushrooms, or here's a bottle of THC and here you go, and trial and error and all that stuff. I came from the cannabis industry and I used to be super passionate about it, but where I saw it was going just didn't align with my core values anymore. So I stepped out of the industry, but I'm grateful for it because it taught me a lot, and it also showed me that there's another way that we could go with this thing. And for me, that's responsibility and protocols.
Do you think legalization is kind of what exacerbates the sort of recreation? Like Brent said, cannabis now is take these gummy worms and eat the chocolate bars and all this, and it becomes very recreational. Do you think that follows very quickly after legalization? And do you think mushrooms might go down the same path?
Yeah, I do. I think it did kind of mess things up in a way. And that was probably just kind of like a beach ball effect. Like they held it down for so long. So then when it came off, people just went crazy with all the different type of stuff. And it's part of it, it's part of the learning of it. And with mushrooms, it could go the same way, but I'm thankful that I see it being used and adopted more in like a mental health type thing. And when I talk about it, there's less stigma around when I was in the cannabis space as opposed to mushrooms, surprisingly. People are like, oh no, I heard it helped. Everybody seems to know someone that it's helped with trauma. So they're associating it with mental health. A lot of people still associate it with, I'll go on a trip, in the woods or whatever with my buddies. But I think it's starting to change. And as time goes on here and consciousness gets more aware to it, or the collective consciousness gets more aware that these psychedelic mushrooms and other medicines can be very, very helpful for our mental health. And I think that's where the avenue that I'm trying to bring it down. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you commute. Well, so you've said this before on a previous podcast, and it's a little off topic to mushrooms, but I'm sure we'll be back to mushroom talk.
Sure, yeah.
And you said that you communicate with nature, but not in English, because nature doesn't speak English. It doesn't even know you speak English. And I would love to hear you talk about that more. What is that communication like?
Yeah. This happened to me this morning, where I'm lying down in bed and I hear the birds chirping, right? And it just reminded me, it was peaceful, and it reminded me to have peace in my heart, peace in my body. And I think the nature is, God or the universe or higher power, whatever word you want to call it, its way of communicating with us. It has an innate intelligence. It's on a rhythm, and we just are so far removed from that in today's modern day society. And it has its advantages, like we're talking on these amazing microphones and cameras and all this stuff, which is great. It's part of the world that we live in the physical world, but there's also a spiritual world. And I believe nature is like the bridge to that, and so the more that I tap into nature, the more that I get these insights. And it doesn't communicate to me necessarily in English, like, the water raining down or the birds chirping or the wind blowing. It's not in English, but it's more of a sensory type thing. And if I listen and if I pay attention and I wait and I'm open to receive, there's kind of messages that come through. And I know that sounds crazy. It sounds woo-woo, but it seems to work, and then it's like, it just reminds me that there's wisdom there.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's like one of the core things that I think we're all really here for as human beings is to receive wisdom
Mm-hmm.
and to experience love. And those things together is like the two ultimate codes is just love and wisdom. And the way that I've experienced that is just by getting out of my own way and listening. And the more I'm in nature, the more I'm able to receive that, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. I don't think it's woo-woo at all. I mean, you look at any native culture and they all communicated with nature
Right.
in that way. Native Americans always looking at the stars and the animals and,
Right.
and the earth and the plants. And as we progress in society, like you said, we have microphones, cameras, cars, planes, all these incredible things. But yeah, we're just disconnecting further from being able to listen
Yes.
to nature. And ironically, told you we'd be back to mushrooms. Mushrooms, I feel, really bring you back to that so that you can tap in and you can listen, because
Yeah.
it reminds you to shut out the inorganic.
Yeah, exactly, Tony. There's like nature is authentic, right? Like nature doesn't play games. It doesn't play roles. When the wolf wakes up in the morning, he's the wolf. And when the eagle wakes up,
Is that what you say to yourself when you wake up?
I do. I howl, and so it's like these animals are just themselves authentically, and the tree is being its tree. So it's authentic in nature, and they're all giving off that authentic signal. And I think there's a signal that's through nature connected to God or higher power, whatever you want to call it. And we're just getting farther and farther removed from that signal. There's so much noise in the world. There's so many distractions, and everything's just vying for our attention all the time, which makes it harder and harder to connect to that signal. So we're trying to bring people back to the signal, and mushrooms, I believe, are like such a powerful way to do that. Like they're literally the network of this earth, and they are connected to that signal, and they're even trying to help us get back there. So yeah.
I mean, they're us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Alex, I know how badly you want to talk about being a pilot. You brought it up so many times.
Clearly. I know.
Clearly.
Keeps coming up.
Yeah. So you were a commercial pilot
Yep.
by the age of 19.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah.
How the fuck do you do that?
I just became obsessed, and that's kind of how I go about things. I don't know if it's healthy or not, but when I get into something, I'm just all in, and the first thing that I really, really dove all into, maybe after video games, was aviation. And a big part of that was because, I've shared this publicly before, but for people that haven't seen it, like I grew up afraid of heights. I was very afraid of heights. I wouldn't go on high buildings or bridges. It was, this whole thing. And it wasn't until my parents got me to go on a flying lesson, and I'm in the plane, I'm freaking out, and the instructor goes to me, and as we're taking off, and he's like, "You have control." So in that moment, I took control of the airplane, and it was like my fear was just faced head on. And I was like, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening. And I just started flying, and the fear just went away. And I was like, and then, the flight went great and all this stuff like that. We landed. And then I was just in awe that all that time I spent my life in fear of something. But when I faced it, it was the most exhilarating feeling I ever had in my whole life. So I was just like, wow, fear is really just, it's kind of an illusion. It's there to like show you something, try to maybe keep you safe. But once you go past it, there's a whole realm of possibilities. And that was the most like inspiring thing for me at that time. So I just took that inspiration and I just dove into aviation. I was at the airport pretty much every day, flying with whoever would give me an opportunity to fly. I went to flight school and, got my private pilot's license in a few months. And I just started flying with anybody who would give me a chance, and I would just show up and willing to learn. And I got to fly with a lot of really, amazing experienced pilots, and they gave me a lot of codes. And, a few years later, by the time I was 19, 20 years old, I was a commercially licensed pilot and flying commercially.
What airlines did you fly for?
Oh, I only ended up working for Air Canada later on in my career.
Okay.
But when I say a commercially licensed pilot, it's like that basically means you could fly for money. So I was flying small charter planes. I was flying business executives around, rich people, around. oftentimes just as a co-pilot, not the captain, but I was in the cockpit flying, getting my hours, building my experience. And it was awesome. It was an amazing way to, spend my early 20s.
That's amazing. I just pictured like getting on a plane and the pilot's like 19 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be freaky. But it's happening nowadays. Like pilots these days are in high demand. So it's like you'll see a lot of young pilots in there.
Makes me think of the movie
Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome movie. That was one of my favorite movies growing up.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your thinking about fear is, I think, really incredible. There's a quote I want to share with you that talks about that pretty directly. And fear is just anticipation that you're misinterpreting. And your experience was really like spot on for that.
Fear is just anticipation that you're misinterpreting.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, for sure. It's just something that has been, I don't know, there's like a program or something that gets put in there in our subconscious. And then until we override it, it could just hold us back so much.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it intensifies the closer you get to actually doing the thing. But then when you do, it's like it dissolves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a weight that's lifted off, and it's really inspiring.
So how did you move into entrepreneurship? Because it's, I'm super impressed with to have this balance of being connected to nature. Seems like you take really good care of yourself, and to also be continually growing a company and working with researchers, and that's incredible. And so, we're entrepreneurs, and I want to be a fucking badass entrepreneur. So I'm like, you're a black belt. Teach me the armbar.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about a black belt, but thank you. I'm like, I'm always a student. I'm always learning. I'm always trying to surround myself with people that are smarter than me and know more than me. But how I got into entrepreneurship was, I got inspired again. I was a pilot. I was living in Florida at the time. I was flying for this, wealthier gentleman, and he was in real estate, and he had me flying him around during the time of the recession. And he was like trying to buy up as many properties as he could, as, people's houses were foreclosing and stuff like that, which was, maybe not the most humanitarian thing to do, but he saw an opportunity, and I was flying him around, and I was just trying to build hours and escape the Canadian winter. So I was there in Florida. And while I was there, I would see these airplanes flying over the beach with banners, promoting nightclubs or whatever they were promoting. And one time a friend was visiting me, and he's like, why don't they do that in Canada? And I was like, that's a great idea. I don't know why they're not doing it. He's like, could you do that? And I just said yes. I was like, yeah, sure, I could do anything. And that was the planting of the seed. And so we went and ended up starting a banner towing business together.
That was your first business?
That was my first business, yeah. So we went and, I worked super hard. I saved enough money, and we bought an airplane, and we went out and bought all the banner equipment, having never towed a banner before in my life. And I didn't even know how it would work. So I went and I hired, I found this guy that was like, had the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest banner tow. And I sought him out, and I said, hey, I'm getting into the banner industry, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, can you teach me? And he's like, show up at LAX at this date, at this time, or, this date, and I'll pick you up and we'll start.
I love that you didn't just go find anyone that knows how to tow a banner. You're like, I'm getting the Guinness World Record holder for largest banner tow. That's who's going to teach me.
Always.
That's the best way to do it. Go to the top.
Go to the top. Exactly. Like if you can learn from masters, you're just going to elevate yourself so much faster, and I learned that back in martial arts, but that's a whole other topic. It's just like train with the best. And aviation, I was so lucky to be able to like train with all these amazing pilots. It really just elevated my career so fast, So, and this was another one. I was like, okay, let me find the best banner towing pilot. I found this guy in LA, picked me up, and he's like, when he picked me up, I'm all excited to be there. And he's like, I don't know why you're here. I think you're making a big mistake. And he's like, the last 3 of the 4 guys that I've trained are now dead. And I was like,
is banner towing that dangerous?
So dangerous.
Damn.
What?
Yeah. And I had no idea. Like, I had no idea what I was getting into. And I quickly realized why when we started the training. Like, it's super, it's dangerous, and I'm just saying what it is. Because airplanes, when they're designed out of the factory, are not designed to tow anything, let alone a giant sail, basically, that's dragging them, like the whole physics around aviation, flying airplanes, is you want lift and you want thrust. You know, those are the two things that you're always trying to get more of, so you can move the airplane forward, not bring it back at all. Like, airplanes are not designed to go backwards. And that's what this is basically doing, is always putting this immense amount of drag on the plane. So it leaves you with a very minimal window of operations where you have to fly at a certain speed. If you're too fast, the banner will get all destroyed, and those banners are very expensive. So then you've pissed off your client. And if you go too slow, then you stall the airplane and the airplane starts to fall out of the sky. So it leaves you with this very small window to operate the airplane. And it's just, the airplane is just being pushed to its limit at all times. And it was super intense, you know? So anyway, long story short, I spend 2 weeks training with this guy every day. Yeah, he's putting me through the ringer. It was like extreme flying, training. Finally, at the end, he's like, yeah, I think you got what it takes, good luck and, all the best, basically. So I was like, holy shit. So I went back to Canada and I started banner towing and ended up getting some big contracts. And, I was getting paid $1,000 an hour to tow these banners, which I thought was good money. But when your life is on the line, like $1,000 an hour really doesn't get you that excited, So we did it for a couple of years. I think 3 years, the business was in operation, had some pretty big clients flying movie banners and stuff like that around, but it was just so dangerous. And that combined with all the other pressures of running a business, paying bills and staff and insurance and all this stuff, it was just too much. So I sold the business to my biggest competitor. I got out, and then I just went back into being a 9-to-5 pilot.
Man, I'll never look at banner flyers the same way ever again.
Stay away from them.
Yeah.
They could be
Don't
going
be
down
directly underneath one of those.
Yeah, not trying to put that industry down. It's because what ends up happening is these kids are trying to get as many hours as they can, because that's what aviation's all about, is you get as many hours as you can so you can move up.
Right. Are there new pilots that are doing banner towing just so they can get their hours?
Probably. I don't know for sure, but it's like, I feel for the kids, because that's probably what they're doing. There could, and I don't know, I'm speculating, there could be, very experienced banner pilots that are towing the planes, but it's a challenging gig for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, to go from fear of heights to doing the most sketchy flying thing high in the sky you could possibly do.
You might as well do squirrel suit.
Yeah. That's what my business partner did. He's a squirrel suit, wing suit.
Really?
Yeah. He's so there's a trend in our company of people that have really pushed it to the limits. And there's something there, there's something, because we're still here, and we've chosen to be ambassadors for these mushrooms and help people. So I don't know. There's some sort of connection there.
What limits are you pushing right now for yourself in this moment? What's your next?
Oh man, I don't know what limits I'm pushing. I think this is the limits that I'm pushing, is trying to create something into the world that's never been created before. And, what does that look like? What does that feel like? Who do I have to be to be that person that, comes out with legal psychedelics? What kind of responsibility is involved? And, how do you manage the expectations or the criticism that comes along with that? A lot of people think maybe we're not ready for that. So I just try to be as present as possible, and one day at a time, and I show up every day doing the best that I can. I have a crazy morning routine that really anchors me in.
Yeah, let's fucking dive into that.
All right, cool.
Yeah.